So hello. Well, today, we've seen Jimmy. We know Jimmy. Jimmy Jabbers. We know Jimmy. Today, I'd like to take a look at this, which was a very interesting display that I once saw in Prague. So maybe not everyone knows, but I currently live in Poland. Some would call it trapped, but but no. I currently I'm in Poland. You know, there's no guns pointing at me, or are there? but once upon a time, when I was happy, my parents used to often fly over and visit me and my ex-wife, and we one time, because they used to fly into Prague in the Czech Republic. We one time there was a Titanic exhibition, and because my father was a very, very generous man, he said, "Oh look, you know, there's a Titanic exhibition. Would you like to see it?" And of course, I said yes. And so this is the brochure from that exhibition, and you can see how long ago it was because there's the bits and bobs in it. It's from 2008, so it was a long time ago. But it was a great thing, and I did see a lot of artifacts that have been hauled up from I think they used a submarine called the Mir. So in case anyone's not aware, the Titanic was a very large ship that sailed out of Southampton. Well, it was built in Belfast. And it was what do they call it when it was the keel was laid, I think, in Belfast, and ultimately it eventually was it was designed by Holland and Bloss or something. I can't remember. My brain's gone dead now, isn't it? It's not a thing to listen to, the garbage that comes out of my mouth. But it was built by a Belfast shipping company, and effectively it was one of three sister ships. There was the Titanic, the Britannic, and the Oceanic, I think, and all of them are sunk now, obviously, because they're old. But there you go. But the most horrific thing about this ship potentially was that it was on its maiden voyage, and it had gone from Southampton, where they had to build a special dock. I used to live, as I say, nearby, and they built a special dock for it, and it was a huge monster. It was a great big thing. It was deemed unsinkable, which was very arrogant by the people that built it, obviously, because nothing's unsinkable, is it? Let's face it. But there's all the tickets and pieces and bits and bobs. You can see it's in Czech crowns from when we went to see the show. And so the ship goes off to France, I think, first, and then it steams to. It was a steamship, obviously, and then they steamed to, I think, where was it? Belfast, was it? No, I don't know where, in Ireland somewhere. And then it headed off into the North Atlantic, where effectively that was the Captain Smith. Captain Smith, his name was. It was his retire. Can you believe this bull? It was his last journey. It was his last journey to for the White Star Line. Sorry, I'm parched. I've got to have some. Some water. Oh, I'll knock that out then. Yeah, because I don't want to spoil the magazine. Is that dry? I hope so, because I love this thing. I like it a lot, innit? No, and just bear with me, guys and girls, because I want to make darn sure that I've knocked that up, because I've spilled some water on the magazine, and this is very special to me. That's a fact. So there you go. There's the crew. So these, unwittingly, they became heroes in the end, because of course this darn ship hit an iceberg and sunk. I think it was about 2 and a bit hours it took to go down. By God, go down, did it ever? And ultimately, sorry, I'm still mopping. Ultimately, it took over 1,000 lives there. You know, a lot of people went down because, for some strange, bizarre reason, the fleet of the White Star Line decided that the lifeboat deck looked crowded with enough boats on it to you know, save everyone's lives. And of course, there was arrogant enough to say, "Nah, I can't sink. It's not happening, is it?" And of course, it bloody well could. And ultimately it did when it collided with an iceberg. So it was in Edwardian times, I think. No, was it Edwardian? Yes. And just before the First World War, and basically a huge amount of wealth was on board. There were the Astors, were there. John Jacob, for one, Astor. Of course, it was a maiden voyage. You have to imagine it was like Concorde. It was like the most amazing thing that had ever been produced by mankind, and so everyone that had any wealth would want to be there and put their name to it, as it were. To be there, you know, I was on the maiden voyage of the Titanic, sort of thing. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. But there was some obviously very beautiful people lost, not just from the rich, but from the poor as well, unfortunately, because a lot of people were heading off to Ireland. What were they doing? Sorry, brain death. They were heading from Ireland to America to make a better life for themselves, and that's where the ship effectively was headed, to America. It was supposed to end up in America, and of course it didn't, because it hit an iceberg. Not head on either. It burst its watertight valves. That's what the ship used to look like. Very, very. I find it very frightening, actually, because of course, probably because of what happened to it. But I find it terrifying to look at now, and especially when it was sinking, because it was like listed up, you know. It was listed up, and the arse end was out of the water, sort of thing, innit? Its arse was out of the water, wasn't it, mate? But there you go. So, and there's a great film with Kate Winslet, who's one of my most famous actresses. Obviously, I think I pretty much. I'm aware that everyone will know about what this boat's all about and what happened to it, but it was one of the most luxurious liners. It was it was amazing then, because it was effectively the White Star Line ship. It was the RMS Titanic, which means the Royal Mail ship. RMS means Royal Mail Ship, because it used to carry the post, and it was run by an amazing amount of people, you know, stokers that kept the engines burning, and huge amounts of staff, obviously, that effectively kept the whole thing. Well, was supposed to keep the whole thing going. I've got a bag like that. I've got an old doctor's bag like that with all my documents in it. And those were the boilers. Look at that. That's what kept it going. Apparently they had a fire in a coal bunker, and so they were kind of steaming full to try and use the coal up to get rid of that problem. There were whole loads of issues with the boat. But it was very interesting to see in the Czech Republic, in Prague, the bits that they had, that they dug up from this tragedy. There was some. Well, there you go. There it is listing. You see, that would terrify me to death, to be honest with you. I mean, I honestly, I'm fearful of little, but something like that would make my heart stop if I was on. Had I been on board a ship, you know, believing faithfully trusting it that it would safely take me to where it was going to go, and it didn't. I would. Well, what? These are the vehicles they use for, you know, wrecking the down thing, because it's so deep. It's down, a mile, more than a mile. I don't even know. I don't know, to be honest with you. But there were some great heroes that day, and my dad, before he died, sent me these papers. Honour for Titanic's fearless violinist, because the musicians kept the thing going. You know, they were playing cheerful songs as the shit slid down the fan, you know, down the fan sort of thing, and bless them for that. So there you go. What's his name? The band leader, Wallace Hartley, his name was. Bless him. That's Wallace. Ordered his band to continue playing as the Titanic sank after hitting an iceberg. And effectively, they were using a new system of rescue, SOS rescue. In the old days, it used to be CQD, which meant Come Quick Distress. But they just recently changed it to SOS, Save Our Souls sort of thing. And of course, on the Morse, it sounds... Nobody believed it. They thought, it's rubbish. The Titanic can't sink. The arrogance of the era, you know, they couldn't believe that such a ship could sink. And only one boat actually responded that was a long way away. I think it was called the California or something like that. No, anyway, my brain, mate, innit? The Carpathia, sorry, I think it was called the Carpathia, responded. And of course it was steaming full on toward the wreckage of the Titanic. By the time they got there, everyone was gone, or in lifeboats, what little bits they had. But this trip was interesting because when you went in, you got a boarding pass, sort of, I suppose, an original thing, you know, I don't know. But this was for the museum piece. Obviously, I wasn't on the Titanic. I'm not that old, you know. I am not a Titanic survivor. But I wish many more were. But this is what you got. And as you came into the museum, you got an original ticket, like you would have got in those days. And at the end, rather sort of spookily, you could go and see if you had survived or not. You know, and my ticket, I actually survived. Apparently I survived, didn't it? But that was a bit of a bizarre idea. I don't know who thought that up. Somebody very perverted. But no, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm going to need another glass of water. Which one's this vintage? Ah, San Shimon. I like it. I like it a lot, Miss Moneypenny. So, so here's another lovely lady, Milvina Dean, and she was the last survivor, apparently. Well, she was the last person to survive the Titanic disaster, and there she is. That's the lady, and that's her as a little bairn, as they call it in Scotland, in 1912, with her ma. And so she was obviously very young when the down thing sunk. And what does it say? Last survivor of the Titanic, whose father drowned, making sure she escaped the stricken ship. What a dreadful tragedy the whole thing was. Unbelievable, unreal, unbelievable. The Britannic was I think was eventually a hospital ship, and in the First World War. And it got sunk by a mine or torpedo or something. So that went down, innit? it? The Oceanic, I don't know what happened to the third sister ship. I'm not sure. But quite frankly, it never got where it wanted to go, and a dreadful business, a dreadful business. But I hope people find this of some interest. And I don't know, if you're anything like Jimmy, you just go to sleep and eat. It's just like, oh God, not another timber video. God help us all. But yeah, I'm interested. I like it. I like it a lot. And oh, by the way, Captain Smith, he went down with his ship. Bless him. He literally probably did salute as the darn thing sunk into the icy waters of the Atlantic. In it. But there's some interesting. James Cameron did a great movie of it, as you probably know, with Kate Winslet and what's the other chap, the actor. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was a very good actor, and the co-star, you know. So check it out if you haven't already seen it. I think it was made 1997, something like that. But he's Leonardo DiCaprio, his name is, and he's a really good actor. So check that film out with Leonardo DiCaprio, not Leonardo da Vinci. He was the painter. He kind of spent a lot of time on his bum, painting stuff like that in it. No, Leonardo DiCaprio is a really good American actor who starred alongside Kate Winslet. You know what I'm talking about, obviously. Anyway, all the very best. Thanks ever so much for watching. Cheers.